Hey everyone, welcome to American Idol Unaired. I'm your host, Bennett Shear. We've got another top 26 edition of the show today. We have PJ. How's it
What's
going?
up? I'm excited to be here.
You are so talented, man. And
Thank you.
it's an interesting experience for me because here on American Idol Unaired, we mainly talk to contestants that unfortunately didn't get aired, or, we kind of reflect on the experience months after filming the show. So it's only been a couple of weeks, and so it must be an interesting time. What are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I feel like you'd be surprised on how much reflection happens like the day of. But it's a little bittersweet just because when you invest so much time and energy and even money to do a show like American Idol, it hurts a little bit, being cut when you want to keep going as far as possible. But there was a lot of things in my life that I felt like were starting that I kind of put on the back burner because of the show, and I felt like those were starting to creep up on me a little bit. And so it was interesting how everything kind of fell just because I felt like I needed to come home at that time. And so I was a little sad at first, but I wasn't as hurt as I thought I was going to be when I got cut. I think it was just because there was a part of me that kind of felt like it was going to happen. And so I think I was already mentally prepared. There was a part of me that was ready as well to go home and just kind of take the new knowledge and experience that I gained and kind of start to apply it. So, yeah,
What was it telling you? Maybe I am going to go home.
there's a lot of things that go through your head when you're competing in a show like that, right? And it's super hard not to get wrapped up in the numbers and in the data of it all. When they start posting things on social media and all of that stuff, I wasn't blind to the fact that like I had some of the lowest engagement of the people on the cast on social media. And I tried my best to ignore it as much as I could just because I was having such a great time, and I was living a dream of mine, and it was exciting being there, and I just was trying to be as present as possible, but it's almost next to impossible to ignore. And so I think that was one of the reasons. And also it's just I personally felt like I had a lot of great moments on the show, but also I had a lot of moments that I felt like could have been better. And so I think that was just kind of that like personal kind of perfectionist brain and me telling like you weren't at your 100%, you didn't do your absolute best that that you could do. So, maybe that like might be a little bit telling about where you could go. And I think whenever they follow you, when you're in the studio and they follow you in to what they call the contestant lounge, what you see on TV where all the contestants sit on camera, I started to look around at all of the contestants because that's really the first time that you see everyone kind of lined up and ready to go that you have in a while. So, because, we're all in and out doing different things throughout the time that we're there. And I started to look around and I was like, there is some really, good favorites and really strong talent on my day. And I just kind of felt like if I was going to go home, like I was gonna be okay with it. And so, yeah, that was kind of little things that were going through my head when we actually started filming that episode.
I want to talk a little bit about the process of just how you got onto American Idol, and
Sure.
if you were approached or if you tried out yourself.
I actually had still have a friend. Her name is Courtney Smith. She did American Idol, I think it was season 19, and she got to the Hollywood Week. I guess there was a person on her staff, or not her staff, on her season that had moved to more of like a production casting role. And so they had reached out to her and asked if she knew someone that she would like to like see if they were good fit for the upcoming season. And so he DM'd me and asked, and honestly, I feel like you get this a lot, but like, honestly, I thought it was fake. It felt a little like unreal, especially because there was a lot of stuff going on in my life that were I wasn't at the greatest point in my life at the time when I got reached out to. And so kind of just felt like, oh, of course, like this is like, whatever, it is what it is type of thing. And so I ignored it for a while. And then he was pretty consistent in reaching out to me. And so finally I was just like, okay, let me just like call this guy and see if he's like real. And so we got on a call and he was like, yeah, I've watched your social media and I'm super impressed and I think you'd be a good fit, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd love to put you on this list. And then a producer reached out to me like a week later and said that they want to have me audition for the executive producers. Then I auditioned for the executive producers. That was like my first actual audition where it was on Zoom. And then they told me that I was going to go to Vegas. It all happened like very fast. Even going to Vegas, it was like within like a week and a half, I think, or 2 weeks that I had to like kind of scramble all my stuff to go to Vegas. But yeah, that's kind of how that initial process happened.
This was a show that you had kind of grown up with. And so to be invited to be a part of it, was that almost like like a no-brainer in the sense of I have to take this opportunity? Because as artists, I know it can be a big decision, even though you may be a fan of American Idol, but like this is your music career. There's a lot that goes into the investment. Like you said, there's time, there's money. So was there a lot going through your mind just in terms of making that kind of decision?
To be honest, not at first. When I first like saw it, I thought it was like not really real. I was just like, okay, this is like some random guy trying to get information. And so that was kind of my attitude the whole time. Even when after I called him and he put my email on a list, I was like very upfront that I was like not going to give any of my personal information. He had me fill out this document and it was just like my email and name and stuff. But I was like very upfront. I was like, I'm not going to give you any information because I still didn't even realize that it was real or not. And I did like a lot of research on, I guess Idol outsources their casting to like casting departments that cast for reality television. And so I like did a lot of research on that and found the casting thing that was apparently reaching out to me, looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, I think they're actually casting for the show. So then that's when it started to feel a little bit more real. But to be honest, I think it really didn't become like something that I was like, oh crap, like this is actually happening until after they said, oh, we're going to have you audition for the celebrity judges. Because I had auditioned for American Idol in the past and I've made it a couple rounds, but never to that point. I thought there was way more rounds. Like usually there's like 4, like before you even get to that point. And so I was just like, wait a minute, I feel like is this happening right now? Like it was all really fast. I started to get really excited just because it was like, this is a dream of mine that I've always wanted to do. This is something that I've always wanted to be a part of. Growing up, I watched the show. It kind of shifted a little bit negative once I got the yes, because there's a lot of things personally that I was dealing with. And there's a lot of things that go through your mind about preparing to be on national television. And that was something that had kind of stayed with me throughout the entire duration of my Idol journey. A lot of things that I was worried about. I have this weird thing about my image and my body and all of these insecurities around like my voice and all of these things. You know, I'm a lot of people don't read this about me or like know this about me, but I am not a super confident person all the time, and I have a lot of insecurities that I am constantly dealing with. And so those really started to be pushed to the forefront of my subconscious when it started happening, and I really had to actively fight that in order to continue in the competition. A lot of that stuff that I was feeling is very internal, and it's not necessarily always true what I'm perceiving. And so that was a big thing, like retraining myself and like to have a more positive outlook. That was a big thing about when I decided to do the show and continue on and like keep trying to do the show. Like I was like, I've really got to work on being nicer to myself and, you know, focusing more on the positive, and the support online and all of those things that really did help. There's so many things that go through your mind being a performer on the show, and it really was so beautiful and so helpful. The DMs and the nice DMs and the nice comments and the nice stuff that I got was so overwhelming in the best way. I think that really kind of made the experience what it was.
TV is a trip because we see these packages and they're like little glimpses into something that we just don't see. Like even if you do get aired, like whether it's the 45 minutes that you go to confessional or it's Hollywood Week where it's literally you're pulling like 20-hour days, and then there's just so much that we don't see. I feel like it's an understatement to say that it's a roller coaster of emotions when you're filming or not filming, just being there.
Yeah.
And then if you had stuff going on in your life too to top it all on, you know?
Yeah. And that was probably Like, I don't usually get into this on like news and media just because not a lot of people really tend to hear or tend to want to hear about it, but I feel like your audience would benefit from it. But the one thing that I didn't realize is how financially burdensome doing a show like this is. I mean, you have to really sacrifice a lot of time that you are not compensated for, and in order to do the show, to make yourself available to do the show. There's meetings, Zooms, things that you have to create, just like all of the stuff, being there, being in Hollywood, being at the studio, going to Hawaii. Your bills don't stop. Your financial commitments at home don't stop. And if you're not in a place where you have a support system that can help alleviate that burden, then that weight really starts to affect you the farther you go on the show. And so that was a big adjustment as well. And so there's a lot of stuff that happens off camera, just sitting around, because then you start to get frustrated. You're like, why are they having me on set sitting around for hours and hours and they only need me for 10 minutes? And so it's like battling those constant things all the time and really being like, but it's a positive. It's American Idol. It's great. It's great for your career. And so that was one of the biggest adjustments for sure.
It might be a weird question, but is it ever like, I don't know, a beautiful experience to come together with people when maybe there are difficult things going on in your life? You guys are all sort of leaving something behind, but you're coming together. And regardless of how your experience is as a contestant, that togetherness and that family that you create is something that is undeniable, right?
Oh, absolutely. That was probably one of the coolest things about Idol. When you're a musician, you're surrounded by people in your life that don't understand you, that don't understand what it takes to be an independent musician, and all of the nuanced things that kind of go into choosing that career path and being just a creative or artistic person and having a vision, all of these different things. When you are surrounded constantly by people that don't necessarily understand that, it tends to become extremely alienating, and you really start to think like, oh, maybe I'm alone in this. And then you go to Idol and you are just immediately exposed to so many incredible people, so many incredible stories. That was one of the biggest learning experiences. Like, there would be people like, even like, for example, Elijah. When I had met him, I knew nothing about his story. I just knew that he was a great guy. He was amazing, incredible. He's sweet. We talked and it was great. And then once the show started airing, I was like, oh my God, this guy has an insane story. Then you really start to look around. Everyone has a story that brings them there, that makes Idol worth it. And so that was really, really cool to experience, because there's just so people at home. I always see people like say like, I wish it was just about the music and not about the stories, like sap stories, all these things. But the reality is, a lot of musicians have that. A lot of people have that. A lot of musicians have stories that bring them to where they are in their life. That was really cool to just be able to be around so many beautiful people, and everyone is so nice. Like, I was expecting it to, I've been to choir camps before and stuff. Like, I was expecting it to be like cheesy like that. And everyone is just so cool and so nice. And it was so not like that. I was just like, wow, all these people are really cool. Like, they're people that I would love to like hang out with. You really start to kind of get caught up in like the networking side of it, like meeting people from across the country that are like, oh, I live here. Oh, I live here. Even people from my own home state, Colton, for example. I'm like, oh my God, you literally like are 45 minutes away from me, and you make music and you perform, and that's really cool. I don't know. There's so much that kind of brings people together in Idol, and there's so much that there's like this unifying bond that all of us have, and it's really just music. We can be from all these different backgrounds and have so much going on at home. I mean, there's so many people that I talked to in the experience that were like, I'm really struggling at home right now. So this is literally like, I'm clinging to this lifeline right now. And then whenever you really start to formulate all of these things, and it's high emotion, high stress all the time, and then people start to go home it really does start to weigh on you, because you're like, I know how much this opportunity meant to that person, and to see them walk away and to see them get cut when I know what is on the line for them, the emotions that you see on screen are so real. And so it is just like this beautiful, amazing thing, experience, and you make lifelong friends, and that was probably the most incredible part of it all. Regardless of how people feel about the show, regardless of how I feel even coming off the show, it really does make dreams come true, even for the people that are aired for brief moments. I mean, even just getting your audition aired, which arguably is probably the most influential thing, or the biggest thing in my life or my journey on Idol that has done probably the most in my career, was having my audition aired. That moment is so important, and it's frustrating a little bit. There's like a pro and con about it, because it's like, it sucks that it took me having to go through this experience for people to see value in what I create and what I can do. But it's also incredible that I got to have this experience and people see that value in what I can do now, and that reach and all of that stuff. It's arguably priceless in a musician's career to have a slingshot like that, regardless of how far you go. And it's kind of like, the farther you go, the more you get back. And that's why I feel like the experience all together, regardless of the negative or the positive, whatever, it's just an overwhelmingly beautiful experience to be able to meet incredible musicians and have all of these shared experiences and memories, because you spend so much time with them. It's kind of like this like fast track relationship, like trauma bonding almost, that no one else will understand. And so yeah, it's really cool.
I mean, I'm sure you could go on about the contestants you make friends with, and I'm curious, but in particular, after that duet that you had with Wayani, and I remember sitting with my mom watching it, and she's like, they need to be a real duo. And I listened to the song that you guys put out together, which is a banger. That's just one person I'm wondering what your bond is like and how that was to meet her, because first of all, absolutely slaying the competition right now. What a performance that you guys did of Hit 'Em Up Style.
It was incredible. That was probably the best thing. I would argue like the number one thing to come from Idol was really like making like a lifelong friend in Way. We still talk like almost every day. And she is so incredible. It's funny, when we were in the same line. So I don't know if you know this, you probably do from talking to different idols, but in Hollywood Week, you get put in lines in round 1 in the performance challenge. And we were in the same line. And that's how we kind of like shared a couple conversations. And she was so beautiful and so amazing, such a light. And we had shared a few conversations, quick kind of like chats. We had like the same music taste and we had similar personalities. And so we really kind of started to hit it off there. I feel like it wasn't until we were like really sitting and like they made the announcement that they were like, you guys are going to pick. We actually ended up sharing a conversation. We were like, oh my God, I know that this will probably never happen because they're going to like pair us with people, whatever. But if we do get to choose our partners, it would be so cool if we were partners. We could do like something like jazzy, and because we both love jazz, and that would be so cool. And literally like not even like an hour later, they were like, all right, guys, you're going to choose your partner. And then it like, there was this weird lull. If you talk to her about it ever, she'll probably say the same thing. We were like kind of side-eyeing each other. And we were like, wait, okay, now that it's real, now we can actually choose our partners. Like, does she actually want to be my partner, or was she just being nice? And I'm sure the same thing was kind of going through her mind as well. And we've talked a lot about it too. And so finally, I was just like, do you want to be partners? And she was like, oh, I'm so glad you asked, because yes. And then it was like from that point that we were really just like thick as thieves. We were like on the same mission. We were like, okay, we're partners now. Let's get it together. We have such a similar work ethic that it was so easy to work with her. There was no problems, no struggles. And we were all just ideas, creatively. And so when we got to the board and really started seeing the songs, we were like, oh, okay, there's this song, there's this song. There was a song that she had planned, and one of the songs that were there, she had planned to possibly do for a later round in the show. And I was like, oh, we could do that song. And she was like, well, I had that plan, but we could just do it. And she was so quick to just sacrifice that song. And I was like, no, 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 no. You don't have to do that. We'll find another one. We saw Hit 'Em Up Style. I was like, dude, this song is fire. I love this song. I grew up on this song. And it's funny, me and my sisters, we love this song because of the shopping spree line. It's really fun. I was like, I bet we could change it up a lot too. You know, we can do something cool and creative with it. And she was like, oh, there's this version that I really love by Postmodern Jukebox. We could take a lot of inspiration from that. And I was like, perfect. Let's do it. Done. Easy to go. We were like ready. There was a lot of waiting that we had to like wait for everyone else to pick and all that stuff. They bus us all and they separate us in buses. I don't know if you knew that, but they separate our partners in buses so we can't like plan or work on it yet. So then I was like texting her because her bus left first, and I was texting her. I was like, okay, like where are we gonna go? Like what should we do? Da 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 da. My bus had got there a little bit later, and there's so many people. I'm like in the back of the bus, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, I just need to get there. The type of person I am, I'm very observant, so I will like find, you know, I'll just know where the staircases are. I'll know where the things are. So while everyone else is like funneling out, I'm like beelining to like another like side entrance that I had saw before. I like went up the stairs and I was like the first one up to the location because I like went around all of the crowd, and then Way was there. And so we started working like immediately. We were just started formulating ideas, and like, then I was like, oh my gosh, what if we like start somewhere else on the stage? Like everyone else is going to start in the middle of the stage. Why don't we just start like next to the judges? We like started planning like choreography as we're working on the song. So it's like all at the same time, and both of us were just like, oh, let's do that, oh, let's change this, oh, what if we did here, and what if we did a harmony here, and da 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 da. And so it was super exciting. And I think that was when I was like, I realized like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna be friends like forever, because like you don't really find a lot of people that are on that same level as you're thinking. And so it was really cool to kind of find that in Way. What you didn't see on screen is we actually started behind the judges, and we had this part like Way sang her part and then I sang a part, and we came around and both of us were holding Katy Perry's hand and we were like singing to the judges, and they cut that, but they showed us like walking in the front. So there was like, it was so much fun to work with someone like Way, and it was like a no-brainer that we were going to have a song together. We were like, we've got to do something cool together. That song is incredible. I love it so much. I want it to be on like a movie one day. But yeah, I'm super proud of where she's at in the competition, and I hope she keeps going. And she's such a star, and I'm just really grateful to have made such a lifelong friend in Way, and I'm rooting for her for sure.
Yeah, I have to say, I saw the last two tapings, and being in the room to witness I Have Nothing was like an unforgettable moment.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So wait, are you in LA?
I was just there. I just got back last night.
Oh, that is cool. That, see, on TV, you never get the same energy, but being in the room, seeing performances like that, oh, that would have been really cool to experience.
Yeah, seeing her do that and hearing Nutsa sing Show Must Go On, like there's just some vocals that are good on TV, but to be in the room, I feel like your duet and even the showstopper of yours, there's just some things that I wish I could see all of, because to be in the room, you know, hearing everything live, like that's, you know, that's just next level.
That's one thing about live music. I literally got chills when you were talking about it, because I was just thinking of like listening to Way sing Skyfall and Nutsa. Both of them just incredible voices, and there are so many incredible voices. One voice that really, really gets me every time is Megan Danielle.
Yes. Oh my God.
I just think she's like the next Dolly Parton. I love her so much. And there's something about her voice that it just gets me. There's just so much incredible talent this season. I really can't even talk more about it. Like it's really crazy. That's why I think I was just so blessed and honored to go as far as I did. Because I mean, for me, music was not something that was like at the forefront of what I wanted to even do. I'm a designer. I was really kind of into it. I was into my career, and I was doing branding and all of this different stuff, logo design. And I was kind of just like, music was like in the background. And just because it's scary to put yourself out there like that. And I was going through, you know, a lot of personal things, whatever. So I think to go through Idol and then to be on such a historic season, it feels like, what did numbers for my confidence, because I felt like I was like, whoa, I'm one of these people. So it was really cool to experience.
Like you said, those auditions, all it takes is one clip. And then even the further rounds that you made, not everyone can say, first of all, that they make it on the show, but then to make top 26, you can always say that I made it on this show, that I made it this far. And I'm curious too, how you feel about the whole competition thing, because I know for some people it is a little bit hard, you know, when they have a winner's mentality versus just like, oh, I just want to get a little bit of airtime. Like, how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I am naturally a competitive person, but to
Okay.
be honest, being there, didn't even feel like it was a competition. Because I mean, honestly, you learn pretty quickly, especially in the early rounds, that there's a lot of people making decisions about who goes through or whatnot and what happens on the show and all of that different things. You kind of learn that like you're not really in a competition with other singers, you're kind of in a competition with your last performance. And so it's really just like an internal battle that you're fighting, not with really others. So that kind of mentality, I think, was why so many people were just so nice and kind, because everyone kind of was thinking that like, oh, we're like, this competition has really nothing to do. It's not like we're fighting or battling or whatever. You know, we're really just going to go perform. And if they like us, they like us. If not, they don't. That wasn't really an issue, I think, until we really got to the studio after Hawaii, going to the studio, realizing, because, you know, the filming is spaced out. We were top 26 for so long. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, we're about to film an episode in like 3 days and we could be going home. I think that's when the energy kind of started to shift, because the conversations from the production are like, so make sure you guys have your bags packed just in case, because you'll have like an hour to get ready, to change, and like to get out. And so those conversations started happening more and more often. And then you could tell people started to be a little bit more reclusive and really start to get their game faces on. And likewise for me as well. And so that was kind of an interesting experience to see everyone kind of get into their game face of like, okay, now this is actually a competition. Like, now I do have to perform better than others to get people's vote. You know, I never really got caught up in the competition at all. I think I was just really kind of happy to be there.
Yes.
I was always just kind of like, well, you know, I'm still in it, so we're good to go. And I was just happy to be a part of it, happy to have a seat at the table.
By the way, I don't think they showed your performance challenge. Am I correct? I was looking earlier at like the list of everything, and I don't think they show your performance challenge.
No, they didn't. I was bummed about that actually, because that was my favorite performance.
Oh.
I did Is This Love by Bob Marley in the style of Alan Stone. I loved it. Actually, if you wanted to hear it, I wouldn't mind singing that.
Oh.
But you know, if you want.
I would love that. Go for it. I love impromptu. Let's do it.
Okay. I wanna love you. Let me just love and treat you right. I wanna love you every day and every night. We'll be together with a roof over our head. We'll share the shelter of my single bed. Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling? Oh, 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 is this love that I am feeling? Well, I think it is. Mm.
Oh, that was stupid good. Wow. Ears are blessed. Oh my God.
Thanks.
No wonder
I love that song so much.
Oh my gosh. I mean, not to like rank, but I can see like if you say that was your favorite performance, I can't imagine the reaction in the room from all the other contestants.
That was a really cool moment. I was really happy to have that moment on stage. So I'm blessed about that one for sure.
Yeah. And it must be weird to be like, why didn't, if you're, like I know you guys all have these moments where like, yeah, this is my best moment, and they don't show it. Does it drive you crazy when like
A
you have
little bit.
your favorite moment and then they don't show your favorite moment?
A little bit. I think I mean, there, especially in the showstopper, it frustrated me. And I think for the storyline, it made sense. But like there was better parts of my showstopper performance that sounded really great and really good that I loved way more than the segment that they cut that made the cut. And so, it is what it is. It's kind of that's what I mean, is that whenever you do a show like this, there's so much that is out of your hands. You can't really get caught up in what is out of your hands. There's literally nothing you can do about it. You've just got to make the best of what you can. And so that was kind of my idea going into it. And what I learned kind of as I continued was like, I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I was battling a lot. I have like really bad allergies. I was battling a lot of vocal problems on the show. So I am just happy what was showed, and I'm blessed to have been shown so much. So I don't like to get caught up in like, oh, they showed that. At least they showed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
How about that sing off with Malik?
oh yeah.
Was that, I mean, that's another thing that, as part of the whole competition aspect, it's meant to look intense. Do you feel the pressure, or is it just like another round for you? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. No, that was the scariest. I really look up to Malik as a vocalist. We really were friends. There was so much that you didn't see again which was a little frustrating actually, because they give us like an hour. And really they gave us like 30 minutes because they took 30 minutes to film stuff. We really are close. We're still close, very close, and even got closer as the competition progressed. And so I just was frustrated that we had to sing against each other, because it kind of made the competition way more real. I was a little frustrated, like there were so many people that got to just go in there and get told yes or no. But of course, again, it felt like I was fighting again for like my spot. And Malik is a competition show veteran. He's had to fight for his spot several times before as well. And so I think both of us were kind of feeling that. He delivered such a stellar performance. And I think I'm happy to just be held at that same standard as Malik. Even when we were like practicing and stuff, they give us times and sections like, okay, you can practice in here and you go outside and then switch and stuff. But there was a lot that wasn't shown that we were just like, we're just going to go in there and do our best and really try and show them that both of us deserve to be here. And at least that was my attitude. And I think Malik shared that same attitude as well. Neither of us wanted to go home, and neither of us wanted to see the other go home and be the reason that the other went home. I'm just glad that the judges kind of saw something similar. And also they give us an option like, do you want to practice in front of each other or not? And we chose not to, because one, I didn't want his performance to influence my choices, and I think vice versa. And we also wanted to show them how different we were. They were pitting us together because they saw a lot of similarities, which I think are true. There are some similarities, but Malik approaches singing in such a different way than I do. And so we wanted to show them that and show them our differences in vocal tonality and all of those different things. And so I'm glad it worked out the way that it did.
And you guys look genuinely surprised on TV. I'm sure you weren't.
No, I was shocked because Katie is just so funny with her delivery. Like after I finished, I was like, I don't know what just came out of my mouth. I'm hoping that it sounded okay. And I remember sitting down just thinking like, whatever happens, like I've just got to be okay with it. I've just got to keep my composure. And I was like, talking myself down a little bit. And then Katie like goes off on this like little spiel. And I don't think they showed the whole thing on the thing, but she goes off in this little spiel, and then she says like, PJ, you are gonna soar those new heights or whatever. And then I was like shocked, because I was so worried that they weren't gonna send Malik home, and then I was gonna have to deal with that, because I was like, there's no way, like Malik killed it. And I'm such a critical person just about myself and about others. Just like when it comes to performing, like I can tell you when a performance is bad. I can tell you when it's good. And I knew that he killed that. So there was a part of me that knew that he was not going anywhere. And so I was like genuinely shocked when she said my name first. I was like, oh my God. And then she said both of us. And so that was just like really exciting. I was so excited. And then Katy Perry sang Happy Birthday to Me, which I'll never forget.
They didn't show that.
Did they not?
Did they? Wait, you said it was your birthday. I remember that. I just don't remember if they showed her actually singing.
Yeah, I don't know actually. I don't remember. But she did. She definitely did. And I got to the room, like whenever both of us got to back to the holding room, the whole cast sang Happy Birthday to Me too. So it was that was the best birthday ever. And it was so funny. Once the episode aired, so many people were like messaging me saying like happy birthday. And I was like, oh, my birthday's in December. But
right. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. So, well, speaking of that, I mean, like you said, the episodes are filmed with large gaps in between. So then you go to Hawaii in February, and then you go back to Hollywood in April. I think a larger chunk of time than people realize.
And that's actually a big thing. I mean, social media team on Idol does such a great job. I love them. I still have both of them on social media. They're great people. They work really hard on keeping the way that it appears on TV. For someone who is an Idol fan and like you, who kind of is able to see, like, obviously it's not all happening all at once. You know, a lot of people don't share that same like realization. And so I was so surprised at so many people that would be like, wait, so you're in Hawaii right now? Like, like there's a lot of people that don't get it, and that would be confused, and that would throw kind of the ruse of it all. And so the social media team works really hard to keep what you see on TV the same on our social media as well. It's strange how like there's such large gaps, and then you go with not telling anybody, and then it all happens within weeks. It's still, I'm like watching the season still, because now I have like a personal association with everyone now, and I'm like cheering for all of them. It feels like a fever dream. It feels like I was never there. I'll have to remind myself like, oh my God, I was on that stage. That's so crazy. Like I'm watching it on TV and I'm like, that's so crazy.
Wait, so what were you going to sing if you were to make top 20?
This song is called Holy Water by J.P. Cooper. And it was that was probably what hurt the most. Honestly, it wasn't even the fact that I got cut from the competition. It was just like, I really wanted to sing that song. It was such a cool arrangement. You get to work with vocal coaches, and was able to work with India Carney, who's incredible. We really formed a personal relationship as well. When it comes to my performances and just music in general, I do tend to have more of like a creative approach. Like I want to change it more. I want to do different things. I have a really big passion for background vocals. And so I really loved working with India on like the background vocals arrangement. Like I don't know if you even remember, but like for Golden at Hawaii, the background vocalists were insane. And that arrangement was like incredible, and I was super happy to work on that arrangement as well that you heard on television. I took such an active role in working on that arrangement. I think that is what's cool, is that there's so much collaboration and amazingness and things happening that you don't see on television, and everyone thinks that it's all just spoon-fed to the contestants. But really, regardless of the national television side of it all, I mean, the show and the people are really keen on letting you express your own artistry on the show. And that was really cool. They will give you strong opinions. Like, we don't really think that you should do this song. Maybe you should do this one. This one would be a little bit better, but you have final say. And if you're like, I don't want to do that one, I just want to do this one, and I'm going to do it. I think it's really cool that they allow that creativity. Like you can go on the show and be 100% yourself, and really they're not going to spin. It's people get scared, and whenever they go in interviews that they're going to spin certain things, and they do such a good job. Production staff does such a great job portraying who we actually are, and so that was really cool.
Being there, like, it was cool to watch because it's a machine and it runs very smoothly. A lot of people that are doing things just so seamlessly. they take care of you and they're doing a million different things, but they make sure that you get up on that stage and you kill your performance. That's what matters at the end of the day. That's what American Idol is about, is incredibly talented artists like yourself getting up on that stage and showing America why you deserve to have your voice be heard. And no matter how far you make it in the competition, it's an opportunity.
It really is kind of, as much as you want to put into it, you'll get out of it. And so that was my reality. I don't know if that was, the reality for other contestants, but my experience was incredibly positive, especially working with the band, working with the vocal coaches, and they helped so much. I mean, like I said, I don't know why. I think I have this like weird mental block that I'm working through whenever it comes to like getting ready to perform. Like, it feels like my throat will close up. That was a big kind of thing, dealing with my voice, and the show was just so great about, do you need to go to the doctor? Like, do you need to this? And like, and so it was just all around a very positive experience, even with all of the little negative bits here and there.
I'm curious, hasn't been that long, but what you've been up to and what you just plan to be up to and what's in store for you moving forward.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. I'm releasing more music. I'm super excited about it. I think I'm going to start performing here more around town and around the country if I can, and really kind of make music more of like a forefront in my life. That was something that I really struggled with, and how to make it profitable. And so really kind of turning that tide in my life right now. I think that's what I'm working on. I have ADHD, and it's super hard sometimes to like stay on track with one thing. And I realize that I don't necessarily need to. I really just need to like stay organized with all of my multiple things. So it's like I'm doing little things here and there, and hopefully all of them kind of come together here soon. And so I'm super excited about what the future holds for me and for all of the other contestants as well. I mean, you form great relationships and great working relationships with incredible musicians around the country. I'm always like, hey, if you want to work on something together, let's do it, and stuff like that. And hopefully more collaborations like Wayan and I come down the pipeline, and I'd be open for anything like that. So yeah, a lot of great things to come.
Awesome. Well, I've enjoyed doing this lately. Closing with a piece of advice for anybody thinking of auditioning for American Idol artists.
Treat the experience like a networking experience. There are so many people involved in making this show possible. Network with as many people as you can. A lot of times, I think I would get in my head about, like these people are like telling me where to go and telling me what to do and all this stuff, but they're real people. If you really just like talk to them, they're real, normal people who this is their job, and they're just working a job, and they have so many cool stories and fun things that they'll tell you about. And I think go into the experience ready to get to know people, and you'll be so surprised on who you meet and the relationships that you make. I think that's the best thing that I can say. That was something that really kind of made the experience what it was meeting so many incredible people, not just the contestants, but like producers, executive producers, even like talking to them, literally forming a relationship. I mean, it could mean something more in the future. You never know. So even down to like wardrobe and hair and makeup, really just take the time to get to know people, care about what they're saying, ask questions, look at it as like more of like, you're going to meet all these incredible people that you could possibly work with in the future. And you'll have a great experience.
You never know from even the production standpoint. I remember, I don't know if you've ever heard of Kazi. He was on season 20, and he told me that, you know, Nancy Yearing, who works on the show?
Love Nancy.
He said that after the show, it was tough. And he's like, I just don't know what's next. And she introduced him to Cara Diaguardi, who was a former judge on American Idol. And Cara got him hooked up with this huge community. I forget what it was called in Nashville of songwriters, not Songhouse, but even just Nancy being a producer on the show and being so involved with the song choices helped out a contestant in that big way, because she believed in him so much. It goes to show it's not just the contestants that can help you and be there for you. You're there for them by helping make their show great. They can help you too.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the coolest thing. I mean, you learn so much about people. It's so easy to get so wrapped up in your head about, oh my God, I'm in a competition, I'm all this and that you forget that the people around you are just like normal people just working their everyday jobs. And it's so interesting I don't come from LA. That whole world was so new to me, and talking with a lot of like the PAs about just like how normal it was. TV was so normal that it wasn't like this like weird, cryptic, untouchable thing that like you grow up thinking that TV is this super hard thing to break into. And so, yeah, it was just, that was some of the coolest moments of Idol, was being able to really talk. They'll be like, oh yeah, I was working on this show, and oh yeah, I was working on this show, and I was working with this actor, and I was working with this. I'm like, that's so cool. Like, what? And then you just learn so much about people. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Well, PJ, I've had so much fun talking to you. I seriously, I could talk to you all day. This is so much fun hearing your insight. And by the way, hearing you sing, and especially having these headphones on, my ears were so blessed. That was such an honor.
Thank you.
So I can't wait to hear more releases from you. And I was jamming out to your Spotify before this. So I'm continuing to stream and follow. Speaking of which, where can people follow you to stay tuned for everything that's coming up from you?
Yeah, all my social media is the same. It's at This Is PJ. That's PJAE. And I post a lot of updates about shows and music and all of that stuff. So
very cool. If you guys enjoyed this conversation, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and TikTok for clips at Unaired Podcast and all the latest updates. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. And PJ, thank you for being a top 26 edition of American Idol Unaired.
Thanks, Bennett. It was nice talking to you. See ya.